So today we are reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 14, sloka number 26. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mam chayo avyabhicharena. Mam chayo avyabhicharena. Bhakti yogena sevate. Bhakti yogena sevate. Sagunan samatityaitan. Sagunan samatityaitan. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate. Okay. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. Okay. So, now let us look at what this sloka is saying. Mam chayo. Mam chayo. What is mam chayo? Mam chayo means he who unto me. Avyabhicharena. Vyabhicharena means when we transgress or deviate. So, avyabhicharena means one who engages in devotional service unfailingly. Srila Prabhupada translates as unfailingly in all circumstances, right? So, mam chayo avyabhicharena, unto me he who unfailingly bhakti yogena sevate, performs devotional service, right? What happens to this person? Then Krishna says in the third line, Sa gunan samati tyaitan. He transcends the three modes of material nature. What are the three modes of material nature? Can someone type or unmute and say? All of you know it anyway.
Rajoguna, Tamoguna, Satvaguna.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. Suhasini Mataji, Hare Krishna. So, he will transcend the three modes of material nature, and the other thing that will happen to him is Brahma Bhuyaya Kalpate. He will come to the level of Brahman. Okay, does Brahman mean impersonal merging? No. Let us look at what that means. Yeah. So this is a very nice shloka which says that anyone who unfailingly with determination renders devotional service to the lotus feet of Krishna very quickly transcends the three modes of material nature, and he gets situated on the level of Brahman. Okay, so here are some points that Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport. This material world is acting under the spell of the modes of material nature. One should not be disturbed by the activities of the modes of nature. Instead of putting his consciousness into such activities, he may transfer his consciousness to Krishna activities. So most of our time goes in sorting out our lives or trying to solve problems in our lives, because our lives are governed by the three modes of the material nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Like Mataji said, sattva, rajas, tamo, right? So these problems keep happening. We think that now that I've solved this problem, let me be in peace. But no, that doesn't happen. Another problem emerges, right? But let us remember that this is anyway dukhalaya. And we are not in this world to solve problems and get disturbed by the problems that are created by the three modes of material nature. Okay, we are here for a purpose, to perfect our human form of life. Not to get involved and get disturbed and become full of anxiety due to various things which are caused by the three modes of material nature. Right? So, we are here for a purpose, and the purpose is to render service to the Lord and to go back home, back to Godhead in this lifetime itself. So, if this purpose is not served in this human form of life, then it's a waste. We have wasted it. So, we should attempt. This is what we should attempt, to serve the Lord and to go back home, back to Godhead. It's a spiritual suicide, basically, if we use this body to always try to solve the problems of birth, death, old age, and disease. Okay? So, here it is said, Prabhupada is saying, why give this attention to the disturbances created by the three modes of material nature? These are continuous things. It'll keep happening. Better we focus on the other thing, which is Krishna consciousness. Okay? So where we place our consciousness becomes very, very important. Okay? Am I facing it in the material aspects of this world? Am I focusing my consciousness on the material aspects of this world, which will always be influenced by the three modes of material nature? Or am I placing it in devotional service to Lord Sri Krishna, who is transcendental to the three modes of material nature? Right? So, if we want to transcend the three modes of material nature, dear devotees, we have to place our consciousness as well on what is transcendental to these three modes of material nature. Right? So, depending on where we are placing our consciousness, our destination will be decided. Okay? So, again, let us read what Prabhupada writes. It is better to focus our attention on Krishna and devotional service rather than on material things. So this word avyabhicharena, right, is very important. Avyabhicharena means having the tendency to render service only to Krishna. Avyabhicharena, without vyabhicharena means divided. Vyavasayatmika buddhi, right, we say. Vyavasaya means many branched. Okay, but avyavasayatmika, avyabhicharena means having the tendency to render service only to Krishna and no one else. One pointed focus at the lotus feet of Krishna. And this person, this devotee who has this one pointed focus, he is no longer interested in serving Maya or committing sense gratification. Okay, he wants to worship only Krishna. Such a person will reach that stage of transgressing the three modes. Okay, also Prabhupada writes, so if one engages himself in the service of Krishna or his plenary expansions with unfailing determination, although these modes of material nature are very difficult to overcome, one can overcome them easily. So Krishna does say in another shloka, this is the 14th chapter, Krishna says in the 7th chapter, 14th verse, okay, that we have to surrender to him. What does he say in the 7th chapter, 14th verse? Daivi hyesha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mamevaye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. So Krishna in this verse says that the material energy is very difficult to overcome, right? But if we surrender unto him, he will help us to cross that ocean of material existence. And he is affirming the same thing here, right? So Krishna is always consistent. Srila Prabhupada is always consistent in what they are writing. Okay, they may write, Prabhupada has commented on several scriptures, Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, but the message is always consistent, right? Throughout the years, his message was consistent. Okay, so we have to engage in the service of Krishna. Then we can transcend the three modes of material nature. Okay, when we become satisfied, when we engage in devotional service and become satisfied in any circumstance, then we can cross the three modes of material nature. Because this sort of person who's always satisfied, he is the one who can actually always give pleasure to Krishna. Okay, because then he is proving when we are peaceful and satisfied under any circumstance, when we render devotional service under any circumstance, then we are proving to Krishna that we do not want anything but to attain Krishna. Okay, so this unfailing determination is very important. So whenever we feel, even if we feel low in our lives, we have to make sure that we seek the guidance from our superiors and come up as quickly as possible by rendering devotional service. Okay, because these things will continuously happen, like we discussed, right? But the time is short. Our goal is very high. So we have to keep going with full enthusiasm, full determination, unfailing execution of devotional service without worrying about all the temporary problems that happen in this world. Okay, now Prabhupada again. To be in Krishna consciousness or in devotional service means to acquire equality with Krishna. What does this mean? By practicing devotional service, we can revive our original quality, which is Satchit Ananda. It does not mean that we will merge into Brahman existence, no. We will revive our original equality, Satchit Ananda. Satchit Ananda means eternity, knowledge, and bliss. This is an important point to note. Our position is like a particle of gold. So we have a lump of pure gold and then we have a particle of pure gold. So the quality of both is the same, right? The consistency, chemical consistency and all is the same. Similarly, Krishna and us are one in quality. So when a person transcends the three modes of material nature and becomes liberated, he will always remain an individual. Krishna is an individual and every living entity is also an individual. There is no consciousness of merging here. So when we say that a person attains Brahman, it doesn't mean that he merges. He reaches the stage of transcendence. He does not become Brahman. He attains that quality which the Lord also has, Satchid Ananda. Right? Just a second. Just give me 1 minute. Devotees. Was at the door, so I had to look into that. Okay, so yes, now I have to remember where I stopped. Yeah, we were discussing regarding Brahman. So if we say that a person attends Brahman, it doesn't mean that he merges. He basically reaches the stage of transcendence. He does not become Bhagavan. Okay, to consider oneself to be Bhagavan is actually spiritual suicide. Okay, because we will never progress. So another very important thing that is mentioned by our acharyas is how can we actually come out of this how can we actually come up to this platform of rendering unfailing determined devotional service. Our acharyas say that we can do this by worshipping the feet of the spiritual master. Okay, when we surrender unto the feet of our spiritual master, that actually helps us to attain the knowledge that was spoken. Right? Why is it so important to worship the spiritual master? Because that helps us to develop the service mood. right? When we worship the spiritual masters and the superiors, the senior Vaishnavas, it helps us to develop the service mood. Bhakti yogena sevate. Service mood is very important. Okay, and this service mood is directly opposed to the enjoying tendency. So as the service mode increases, the enjoying tendency will reduce, and then it's easier for us to unfailingly render devotional service. Now in this state, once we start developing that service mood, what happens? That shatters the glue which binds us to this material world. Okay, and what is this glue? This glue is also metaphorical. This glue is that sense gratification or enjoyment tendency. Okay, because as soon as we start doing selfless service, we will be unbound from this material world. We think of ourselves as Guru's servant, and fixing carrying out his order and instructions is our love. As our love, as our heart, with our heart, with our minds. Okay, when we carry out his instructions, that will free us from Maya. Okay, so when we come to this position as a servant of the Guru, we render service, we follow his orders. At that time, the illusory energy of the Lord, Maya, she cannot touch us again. So if we are really interested to attain Krishna, then we should break the cycle of birth and death by accepting a bona fide spiritual master, the instructions of the spiritual master. Okay, when we follow his instructions, we should take those instructions as our life and soul. Okay, he can help us go to that spiritual world, right? We have to see who can help us go to that spiritual world. That person's instructions we have to take as our life and soul. Okay, otherwise we just perform our duty. Okay, but we have to take the Guru's instruction as our life and soul. Okay, because he can make us increase our surrender to Krishna, and only when we do that, the rest of the things can happen. Okay, so it's very important to take shelter of the spiritual master. So we are very fortunate that we have a great Acharya like Srila Prabhupada. We can accept his instructions and follow, and everything will slowly become clear with time. Okay, we can get more clarity of where we are headed, and we can have more clarity of that ultimate destination. By the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we can have a path clearly chalked out for us to transcend these three modes of material nature. Okay, due to his mercy, in this association every day when we learn together, then we are slowly chalking out our paths to transcending the three modes of material nature. Okay, so thank you very much, dear devotees. I hope you have a blissful Krishna conscious day. Let us always be focused in developing that service mood. Whatever we do today, right? Let's think, will this help me develop service mood to the Lord? Right? And serve each other with the consciousness that we are offering this to the Lord. Right? So have a blissful Krishna conscious day ahead. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.